Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Redington and CheckPoint session. We have Shavid, our pre-sales consultant from Redington Value, who will be running throughout the session. Also, we will provide you all the information required, and we have a Q&A button at the end of the session to answer all your questions. Shavid, over to you. Please start the session.
Hi, good evening, guys. Thanks for joining the session. I'm Javed, pre-sales for CheckPoint, and in today's session, we are going to cover Sandblast Agent, which is our next generation endpoint security product in CheckPoint, and we'll cover the components. What are all the components coming under the Sandblast Agent, and what are all the techniques are there? Detection techniques are there, and what is the attack life cycle, and how we can prevent the breaches. We can see everything one by one. So this is the Sandblast Agent. Basically, here you can see all the components. Whatever Sandblast Agent has, all the components are listed here. The best endpoint product should have the systematic way of protecting the threats. They should not apply the advanced level techniques on the entry stage itself. For signature based attacks, there should be some known techniques like file reputation, web reputation, signature based techniques to block known threats. And for unknown attacks, we need to work under the artificial intelligence, predictive machine learning, post-execution, pre-execution machine learning techniques, and zero-day attacks, zero-day protection, and everything. And at last, during the response stage, we should have the forensic analyzer, which is called EDR solution. So the best endpoint product should have this kind of systematic way of protecting the threats. And as you can see in the screen, Sandblast Agent has all these components. Starting from this first component in the left-hand side, you can see the traditional AV agents and everything. So for known attacks, we are using the signature-based mechanism to protect, which is called file reputation, and we can also prevent the zero-day attacks. Zero-day attacks can be prevented using our sandboxing solution, which is called threat emulation and threat extraction. There is some difference between threat emulation and threat extraction. Threat emulation means it will just sanitize the file. For example, when user receives the file in PDF, in PPT format or Word format or anything, the macros will be removed and it will be sent to the user in trusted PDF, which is called threat extraction. And the threat emulation means it will check everything. For example, it will put it in the sandbox and run across all the techniques. Even the CPU level detection is also possible in the threat emulation. For example, if any malicious codes are there, it can be detected at the CPU level also. And we are not only relying on one mechanism to detect the threats in the sandbox. The multiple things are there, like time latent attack or polymorphism virus attack or any other zero-day attacks. URL reputation will be checked. All the things will be checked in the sandboxing solution, which is called threat emulation. So don't confuse between the threat emulation and the threat extraction. This is how it will work. So you may ask, where is the threat emulation and where is the threat extraction? Is it integrated with the agent, or it will be on the cloud or on-prem? So threat emulation and extraction is our sandboxing solution, which may be on the on-prem or it will be on the cloud. So when the agent is in offline, it will not use that mechanism, sandboxing mechanism. Like when you are roaming or when you are in flight or somewhere, when you don't have the access to the server. So during that time, you don't have any connectivity with the sandboxing solution. So during the online time only the sandboxing will be checked. During the offline, The other detection mechanisms are there, like as I said earlier, artificial intelligence, predictive machine learning, behavior analytics, and all other known signature attacks. Lots of other things are there. So there will be some differences. What are all the components working in offline and what are all the components working in online? So here the prevent zero-day attacks will cover these threat emulation and extraction, and EDR will be used during the response cycle only. In all the endpoint products, there should be some full attack life cycle should be there. Like it should support prevention, detection, and response. So prevent, it will try to prevent everything. In case if it can't prevent, at least it should detect something and block. And no endpoint solution can claim, the vendor can claim uh, we can free the virus or advanced attacks, free from the virus and advanced attack 100%. Nobody can claim that. As you can see, the current situation, COVID is paralyzing the entire human and all across the region. We don't have any solution for that. Same like that, the computer virus can also cannot be prevented by all the antivirus solution. 99% it will be prevented and detected, and remaining 1% there will be the chance to evade. So in this case, the endpoint solution should have the response mechanism. For example, releasing the signature for that, analyzing it in the sandboxing, or some advanced techniques should be there for the response. So EDR, what it will do, it will just collect the metadata from all the agents. EDR, whatever components I am presenting here, everything will be in the single lightweight package only. So the EDR, when you activate the EDR in the server side, it will try to collect the metadata. The metadata means all the data exists in your endpoints. For example, the changes in the file, the process launching details, and registry changing details, and input output process, IO process, and all the details about your endpoints will be collected in the EDR, which will be used during the response stage, remediation stage. And file emulation and sanitation, it is in the middle, which is done through our threat emulation and extraction engine. And sanitation means threat extraction. Detects and quarantines infected devices. There should be some outbreak prevention policies, like if the virus is hitting the endpoint in certain threshold value, when it reaches a certain threshold value, it should be isolated from the network. Otherwise, the virus will infect one endpoint and propagate to all other endpoints. So we should have some outbreak prevention policy to protect against infected machines. And integrated multiple, in the right hand side, there will be the artificial intelligence, behavior analytics engines and everything. So behavior analytics, this is our ransomware protection process, and the ransomware protection techniques. So behavior analysis, what it will do, it will constantly look for the IO process, whether any process trying to encrypt the file, or trying to do some ransomware nodes, or trying to establish CNC communication. Like all the ransomware related behavior will be checked in the behavior analytics. So behavior analytics techniques will be capable of preventing the ransomware attacks. And our anti-ransomware solution has the capability to restore the file also. For example, it will constantly take the snapshot of the systems in case, even if any legitimate process or anything, any hacker try to encrypt your file or delete the shadow copy, then it will take the backup of that file in C drive. You can retrieve that file even after the attack. So these kind of restoration also possible, restoration of snapshot also possible in the checkpoint endpoint. So this is the overview, brief overview about all the components. We'll go in depth one by one. So 360-degree security in single agent, you can see here, as I said earlier, there will be some online protection mechanism, offline protection mechanism, and EDR will be there for the visibility and response. So online protection mechanism, when the agent is connected to the server, I mean the management server, Sandblast management server or any cloud server or something, it has the capability of all the detection mechanism like threat extraction, anti-bot, URL filtering, anti-ransomware, and all the techniques, whatever you can see here, all the techniques will be possible. And when the agent's in offline, let's say the user is in flight or somewhere, so they can in the flight they maybe give some pen drive. Maybe some guys will give pen drive to you, which contains some malicious file or something. So in that case, the agent should have the offline protection mechanisms, offline detection techniques to protect against these attacks. So we have the systematic procedure of preventing the threats both in offline as well as online, and we have visibility and response as well. And the threat extraction already I explained, which is our sandboxing solution, and anti-bot. Anti-bot, maybe some other vendors called it as command and control or suspicious communication or something. Here also it will do the same thing. So anti-bot, uh, it will prevent the CNC communication. As you know, most of the ransomware attack and everything happened after the CNC communication only. During the CNC communication, a hacker will share the encryption key and they will encrypt the files and folders. So the CNC communication blocking is one of the important detection mechanism which can be done through our anti-bot blade. And URL filtering. It's kind of reducing the attack surface using the category-based URL, like the shopping-based category, finance category, government category, like that. You can allow certain category and block certain category. And inside the office, you maybe have the perimeter firewall to do this URL filtering and everything. But for the roaming users, they don't have any URL filtering mechanism, right? So in that case, we will use this URL filtering and anti-ransomware feature. As you know, we have the behavior analytics model, which will take care of the anti-ransomware as well as the restoring of the snapshot and everything, and zero phishing capability. When user receive any link over the mail or any kind of social engineering things, attacks can happen and spear phishing can happen. So lots of things can happen. So zero phishing, we have the model to prevent the zero phishing, and then anti-exploit. The exploit should be blocked. For example, we are maintaining some exploit-based engines which will block all the exploits, whether it will be coming in script-based or web exploits or anything. And behavior guard also there. It will use the artificial intelligence and automated incident response also there. And EDR also there. As I said earlier, it will collect the meta. We have file-based encryption, full disk encryption, and port protection. Port protection is nothing but blocking all the peripheral ports. For example, the USB, the Bluetooth, or keyboard, or anything will related to these port protection things. So the document encryption means file-based encryption, and full disk encryption means it will encrypt whole laptop. So by using this data protection, we can control the data in motion, data in use, and data in rest. So all these three things can be controlled using this data protection model. And we have access control blade, which has endpoint IPsec and SSL VPN. So with our endpoint security only, we have the SSL VPN and IPsec VPN client also integrated. And complaints checking also there. Suppose your laptop has any malicious software running, then your complaints will be failed. So you can get rid of such laptops connecting to the corporate office through SSL VPN. So this kind of complaints checking also possible, and application control. The application control is one of the main attack vector. When you reduce the number of applications executed in your endpoint environment, then you are reducing the attack surface. So application control is very important. We can even control the applications based on category, or we can also lock down the applications. And endpoint firewall. The endpoint firewall, as you know already, it will be working based on 5-tuple mechanism. The source IP, destination IP, source port, destination port, and protocol basis. And by default, the checkpoint will create some stealth rule. Stealth rule means outside to the endpoint agent, everything will be blocked by default. You can configure such rule in the endpoint firewall, so you can block all the inbound communications. The attack may be happen through the inbound communications, so you can block it through the stealth rule. And anti-malware, which is our traditional prevention. Anti-malware, which will be based on signature mechanism. Known attacks will be blocked using traditional mechanism. So our these slides show you how our Sandblast agents provides the strongest defense mechanism. And you can see here we have all the components. Inside these components, we have different techniques. We'll see one by one. Data security is there, access control and secure communication is there, advanced threat prevention is there, endpoint protection and response EDR is. Under the data protection, you have full disk encryption and file-based encryption you have, and port protection you have, document access control you have. All these features you have under data security. Full disk encryption you guys knows already. Like it will encrypt overall all your hard drive, and when you give the authentication, when you give the credentials and something in the pre-boot screen, then it will just release your hard disk, and it will just release your OS, the operating system related files, swap files and everything. It will be decrypted, and inside the disk, whatever you have inside the hard disk, it will be remain in encrypted stage only. So whenever you access any files in the hard disk or something, the file will be in the RAM in decrypted stage, and it will be present to the user. So even if your laptop stolen, or anybody have access to your laptop, they can't access anything. They can't even take out your hard disk and put it on some other laptop, because the hard disk itself encrypted, right? And we have file-based encryption as well. File-based encryption, you can control it using certain sensitive file format. If this file goes to any external media like USB or pen drive or hard disk, it will be encrypted. You can create such policies, and we have lots of other mechanisms. The port protection, as I said earlier, the USB and Bluetooth blocking, document access control. We have the caps, docs caps, which will be helpful for document control. And access control. The access control means you need to stop the attack surface. So how you will stop the attack surface in the entry stage? Using endpoint firewall and application control and the endpoint compliance and IPsec VPN and SSL VPN. And for the advanced attack prevention, we have two protection mechanism, offline and online protection mechanism, which I explained earlier. So Offline mechanism, even if you are not connected to the endpoint, you will have all these detection techniques: anti-ransomware, behavior guard, and anti-exploit, zero phishing, and anti-evasion, anti-MIMI, and machine learning dynamic. You have all these techniques to protect in the offline environment. And online protection, you may have sandbox in the on-prem, or you may have sandbox in the cloud environment. You can use both kind of sandbox for the threat emulation and extraction purpose, and anti-bot URL filtering also there, and EDR also there for the response. This is how Sandblast Agent works. Web downloads sent to remote sandbox, and the sanitized version delivered promptly, and original file emulated in the background. This explains the sandboxing part. So when user download the file, he won't get the original file to the laptop. The original file will be sent to the threat extraction engine, and threat extraction engine will remove the macros and any critical contents which are suspicious to the attacks. It will remove everything and provide the sanitized copy, means the trusted copy of the PDF to the users. And original file which got by the threat emulation will be running in the threat emulation for sandboxing, whether it has any suspicious elements or not. It will check and provide you the report. So in this case, you don't need to wait for anything. The sanitized copy, you will receive it in single second, and the full report of the threat emulation will also be received in minutes, maximum 2 minutes. You will receive the report for that. The roles of successful endpoint security solution. As I said, you should have the complete attack life cycle. You should have this complete cycle: reduce attack surface, prevent before it runs, runtime protection, the containment and remediate, and understand and response. You should have the endpoint security solution should follow this approach to become the successful endpoint security solution. And CheckPoint has all these things. We'll see one by one. Whatever given here, the reduce attack surface, prevent runtime protection, we'll see one by one in the coming slides. The reduce attack surface. So how you are reducing the attack surface? Through the control, peripheral control, application control, and data in motion control. So this can be done through our port protection and application control and endpoint firewall. And we can also encrypt the overall laptop or file-based encryption also possible. So which can also be done. And we have SSL and IPsec VPN client also integrated with the endpoint. And you have the endpoint complaints model also. Like any other security vendors, they don't have this kind of endpoint complaints model, which is very important. So if the endpoint complaints model says certain complaints are not made, and any particular applications, vulnerable applications are running on the endpoint, it should have the capability to prevent the endpoint to access the enterprise resource. So we have these endpoint complaints technique to protect that. How full disk encryption will work? So full disk encryption, as I said before, it will encrypt your hard disk and some of the files in OS as well. So when you give the credentials at the time of boot, whether it will be your Windows credential or whether it will be the pre-boot authentication console provided by the CheckPoint. So when you give the credential, during that time the OS will be loaded, OS will be decrypted, and it will be present to you. And but the hard disk, whatever the data you have in the hard disk, it will be remain in encrypted stage only. And the OS has the capability to take the files in the hard disk, encrypted hard disk in decrypted form. This is how it will work. So here they provided two different things, the unprotected and full disk encryption. In the unprotected endpoints, you will have the MBR. MBR means master boot record and pre-boot record, which is different, and the operating system files, system swap files, data, all these things are not coupled together, which are in decrypted format. And here in the full disk encryption, like when you install the full disk encryption agent, the MBR, the modified boot record, will divert your operating system to the endpoint checkpoint endpoint agent. So any encryption or something, when they want to authenticate, then it will be asking for the credentials, the PB, the pre-boot authentication credentials. Once you give the credentials, then only it will decrypt and present the content to the user. This is how it will work. So in case if the laptop is stolen and you are following any compliance, the enterprise following any compliance, there won't be any issues. If encrypted laptop is stolen from the enterprise, it won't be treated as the security violation or compliance failing or something, because your laptop is already encrypted. And even if they take the hard disk and put it in some other laptop or doing something, they can't recover the files. Still they can't have access to the files. This is possible through the trusted protection model, which is in Windows chip. So CheckPoint has the capability to manage all the encryption key properly. And how media encryption will work? You need to create the policy. What kind of files can be transferred to the media, the USB or hard disk. If such file matches the policy, then it will be encrypted automatically. And port protection, how it will work? You can see in the right side, there is some screenshot given. The Bluetooth devices, the smart card, the LAN card, and the keyboard, the network adapters, everything is visible there. You can control each and every ports associated with your laptop. So this is how we can control the port, and this is the kind of access control mechanism. So even before the attack started to run, you should have some basic level techniques to prevent the attacks. As I said earlier, the anti-malware and reputation will use a signature-based mechanism to block the known attacks. In first stage, we should have the signature-based mechanism only, and we have the next stage is pre-execution static and dynamic analysis. So here we have predictive machine learning, pre-execution predictive machine learning techniques to block the attacks, and then anti-exploits, web exploits, everything can be prevented, and zero phishing also there. So these four features will be, the four detection mechanism will be used to prevent before it runs, before the attack happens. So how we are preventing the zero-day attacks? As I said earlier, there will be two form of detection mechanism: online detection and offline detection. In case if the machine is on, the endpoint is offline, they will have the machine learning, static model analysis, and reputation, everything to check against the known attacks and known and unknown attacks. If the machine is connected to the internet or connected to the server, endpoint management server, then it has the capability of threat emulation and threat extraction as well. Using our sandboxing, leveraging our sandboxing solution as well. And as I said earlier, when I say the sandboxing, it is off machine inspection only. It won't be happen inside your endpoint. It will be off machine. Either it will be on the on-prem sandbox, or it will be on the cloud sandboxing. And local, it will be on the machines. And exploits can be coming in different applications. For example, if you have any vulnerabilities in any known applications like Acrobat Reader or Office related applications or web browsing related applications, if you have any known threats, you don't need to patch your applications regularly. We can protect the exploits whatever targeting your application, so we can prevent all the exploits using our exploit prevention model. Either it will be in the script or it will be the known attacks. Everything we can protect. With the zero phishing capability, we have the capability to block the deceptive sites. For example, the user may receive some link, the spear phishing mail or something. When they click the URL, it will ask for the credentials. Like for example, resetting, they will receive some fake mail spoof or phishing mail, like resetting the Office 365 password. So when user click that link and try to modify the password or something, then it will leads to the account takeover attack. Identity theft will happen. So these kind of things can be prevented using the deceptive site technique, which can be blocked. And we have a credential reuse and compromised password mechanism also. For example, uh, in the same endpoint, you are trying to access the Facebook as well as your corporate resource. In Facebook also, you are using the same password like admin at 123, and your corporate internal resource also you are using the same password. So in this case, this will become vulnerable. Like a hacker can take control of your internal infrastructure also. So this is the dangerous things, and it can be prevented using our credentials reuse mechanism. These things are our patented technology. Which no vendor in the market have these protection mechanisms. And how zero phishing will work? Zero phishing, we are not relying on single techniques to protect the zero phishing phishing attacks. The multiple things are there. You can see in the right side, the domain reputation, look like character, image only site, look like pheasant, text similarity, the URL similarity, IP reputation. We are considering all these things, and we are matching with the matching this with the checkpoint threat cloud intelligence as well. So there is no way of bypassing the phishing things with our Sandblast agent. And even after checking all these things, all these things and the artificial intelligence also there. Even after checking all these things, the verdict can be issued in the seconds only. It won't take more time to give the verdict. Reuse of corporate credentials I mentioned earlier. When you are using the same password in your corporate as well as the social networking or any other third-party sites, so it will protect you from the credentials reuse things. And this is very important thing, runtime protection. So we already seen the detection techniques which are used in the used during the known attacks, and there will be pre-execution stage and post-execution stage. Pre-execution stage, we already checked lots of detection techniques like the file reputation, the anti-malware things, and lots of things we saw. And the pre-execution machine learning things, dynamic analysis, these things are before the execution, pre-execution machine learning. And runtime execution will come under post-execution, because nowadays lots of fileless attacks are happening. Like when it is going through the perimeter firewall, it will be like showing in the script only. It won't show any malicious behavior. So what perimeter firewall will think, it is legitimate traffic only, we will allow. But when the file started to execute, when the script started to execute, let's say any PowerShell script or JavaScript or VB script, when it is executing, then only it will show the malicious behavior. So during that time, we have runtime protection mechanism to block against these attacks. The behavior got fileless malware techniques are there, discover unknown malware behavior, and we have all these techniques, anti-ransomware, anti-evasion. We have all these techniques to block during the runtime. How anti-ransomware works? Anti-ransomware, as I said earlier, the behavior analysis model feature is responsible for the anti-ransomware prevention. It constantly monitors all the ransomware specific behaviors. It will constantly monitor all the IO process, whether it is trying to encrypt any file or not. So in case any encryption happen, even if encryption not happen also, it will continuously take the short-term file backup or snapshot and put it in the C drive. Uh, uh, the C drive is like it will have the privilege access, nobody can access. Even hacker has control of your system also, they can't access the folder of the snapshot. So it will constantly take the file snapshot and put it in the C drive. So even after the attack, we can restore the file. This kind of things can be possible in our ransomware, anti-ransomware solution. And upon detection, if some ransomware is detected, it will be detected for and send it to the analyzing purpose for the forensic analyzing in the EDR solution, and it will be quarantined immediately. And we have some backup procedure also. As I said earlier, no vendor can claim 100% we can protect all the ransomware and everything. Some new things like Petaya or WannaCry ransomware attack happened. Lots of vendor could not provide the solution, but during the time we should have some backup feature to restore the files and everything. So we have 99% we will prevent everything, and remaining 1% we have this kind of response and prevention strategy also to continuously take the backup and restore the file even after the file encryption. So fileless attacks, I already explained, it will be coming in the script, PowerShell script or JavaScript or VB script. It won't have any malicious process. During the execution stage only, we will come to know the malicious behavior. That time it will be protected by the runtime protection models like post-execution machine learning techniques. So containment and remediate, this is the fourth stage, containment and remediate, how we are going to remediate and how we are going to contain the attack. So detect and block CNC traffic. After the malicious payload, everything loaded into your endpoint, at last it will try to communicate to the hacker network through CNC. So during that time, we have the anti-bot engine. It will protect you from the suspicious communication and control and command channel communications and everything. And lateral movement. Uh, so the malware may be propagated from one system to other system. During that time, we have the endpoint firewall model to protect and remediate and sterilize. So we have anti-ransomware model. As I said earlier, we have the restore mechanism. It will be used during the remediate stage. And we have EDR also for forensics, collecting the metadata and for the forensic purpose. So we have full attack chain remediations. Whatever we told, we saw that from the prevention stage, the protection stage, the response stage, and we saw that in all the stages, the checkpoint has complete full attack chain remediations, as we explained here. This shows how anti-bot will work. As you know, during the data exfiltration stage or after loading the malware, the endpoint will try to communicate with the hacker channel, hacker server or something. using the CNC. We will block it using the anti-bot. So anti-bot means it will be blocking the CNC channel. How access control will work? Access control, as I said earlier, we have three kinds of access control: the desktop, firewall, and application control. So access control, basically it will reduce the attack surface. Even before any attacks happen, or even before the anything happen, it will reduce the attack surface. So desktop firewall, as you know, you can configure the source IP destination, IP source port, destination port, and still through whatever inbound to the firewall, you can prevent everything. And inbound to the endpoint, you can prevent everything. And application control, you can lock down the application usage. So for example, in your enterprise, only 5 or 6 applications are allowed to use, like well-known or popular applications. You can lock down the application usage. The third party or unlicensed application, or any peer-to-peer applications, or any proxy or VPN kind of applications which are very vulnerable, you can lock down the application usage. No new applications can be installed. So this is the main thing to prevent the attack surface. And we have a complaints checking model also. So in case you have any vulnerable software, or any of the vulnerability in your endpoint which cannot be addressed, then your complaints will be failed, which can be checked using our complaints model. So if complaints is checked, you will be isolated from the network automatically. You can't connect to any SSL VPN, or you can't connect to any IPsec VPN client to the corporate resource. And secure remote access to corporate office. This is happened through the complaints checking. And by using these three techniques, we are controlling the securing the endpoint access using first technique. And using remote access, we are making sure the data in transit is secured. And using the compliance, we are giving the control of SSL VPN and IPsec VPN client to access the corporate resource. So understand and respond. This is the last and final stage. How we are responding. This can be automatically through the threat cloud, which is our CheckPoint threat intelligence cloud, and we have EDR solution as well. So we have all these mechanisms to respond to the attacks. You will have dashboard which will be clearly shown all how many dormants file. Dormant means the virus will be there, but it won't show any malicious behavior, which can be detected through the forensic analysis like EDR solution. So in our EDR solution, you will have this is how our Sandblast forensic will look like. So you will have all the mechanisms, like whatever detected by your endpoint security agent, the IOC, the indicator of compromise, indicator of attacks, everything will be forwarded to the forensic, the EDR solution. Then it will show you the complete attack life cycle, how the threat generated, whether the threat is available in any other endpoints or not. You will get all the details like this. So this is how EDR will work. Once you activate the EDR in the server side, it will enable it on the endpoint Sandblast agent in the endpoint automatically. So it will frequently continuously collect the various OS sensors. As I said earlier, the file, the registry changes, what are all the process launched recently, and all the IO related things, everything will be collected by the EDR. The metadata will be collected and send it to the server. The server will do the sweeping, the IOC, the indicator of compromise, and it will check against the IOC in all the endpoints present in the enterprise. So advanced algorithm and everything will be used, and digested incident report will be sent to the smart event. So smart event, not only the endpoint agent, even your firewall, the cloud guard, all the checkpoint portfolio product will be integrated into the smart console and smart event. So you can see the consolidated events and reports, logs, everything in the smart event. So platform wise, we are supporting all the platforms, the Windows, Mac, Chromebook, the virtual desktop environment also we are supporting. And Sandblast Agent for Mac, we have all the features, whatever we explained for the Windows, the firewall, the compliance, full disk encryption, the file-based encryption, capsule docs, and browser extension also there for the sandboxing, and anti-ransomware behavior analytics models also there. So we have all the protection mechanism for the Mac. So this is the last slide. So we covered all the components, whatever listed here, the advanced threat prevention technologies and baseline threat prevention technologies. Baseline threat prevention technologies will work using the reputation mode. Access control, as I said earlier, the firewall, the port-based blocking, and application control, the compliance checking, all these things will be coming under the access control. How you are reducing the attack surface, this thing will come under the access control. And antivirus and antibot, it will be based on the signature based mechanism. As you know earlier, antivirus is signature based, and antibot also sometimes it will check against the threat intelligence cloud, but maximum it will be signature based. And advanced threat protection technologies, this thing never use the signature, everything by using runtime mechanism and dynamic analyzing and behavior analyzing only. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can ask now.
Yeah, actually, we have several questions. First, let me answer Rima question. Rima, we will be sending the recording session to your email along with the contact details, so you can write back to us if you have any more questions. Shavid, you can see the questions. Please answer.
Oh, okay, let me see the questions. Okay, no problem. For Rima, we can share the session like in the YouTube or recorded webinar. We can share it to Rima, no problem. And any other questions?
Shavid, you can go down. There is several questions.
Application control require SSL certificate. Application control never require the SSL certificate. We are not using the perimeter firewall. In the perimeter firewall, you need the man in the middle will happen. The man in the middle inspection will happen. So you need the SSL certificate. Here, anyway, in endpoint, the endpoint will see only the decrypted traffic. Even for example, when you open the Google or any of the encrypted page, when it is coming to the endpoint, it will be in decrypted stage only. So you don't need SSL certificate or anything for the application control. But for the perimeter firewall, the SSL certificate will be required. All files sent to the threat emulation. This is based on our configurations. For example, you can tell the threat emulation engine If more than 100 MB or 200 MB file is there, send directly to the user, otherwise sanitize and send. Like that, you can control each and everything. This is how threat emulation will work. And you can also tell only the particular extensions will be sent to the threat emulation. You can also make like that. And in full disk encryption, when user authenticated and log on laptop, network share will work. Like admin share, admin can use to get the data. Yeah, it can actually. Full disk encryption is nothing but in the offline, it will be looking different. In the once you switch on the laptop and once you get authenticated, then you are like normal only, because your OS will have the full access to your hard disk, encrypted hard disk. So once you authenticated, it will be like normal laptop only. The full disk encryption will not make any difference once the OS is authenticated. So you can access all the SAD drive and everything even after the full disk encryption once you log on the laptop. Phishing blade, we have to install in the mail server or endpoint. If we are using Microsoft Outlook, phishing blade will work. Actually, this is not kind of plugin. This will be installed with the endpoint only. The web reputation model will check all the phishing related things. As I said earlier, we are not relying on single mechanism. Means the only the web URL or something. We are checking lots of other things like IP reputation check, the dynamic URL checking, and the image checking. We are doing lots of checking before giving the verdict for phishing sites. So you don't need to install anything. Like don't confuse between the endpoint and mail agent. Mail is different. Mail server, everything is different, and endpoint is different. Endpoint, you will have the Sandblast agent, which will take care of all the phishing related things. What will be the size of snapshot ransomware? Snapshot will take all the disk drives. Actually, this is very good question. We cannot take overall disk for the snapshot. Like there will be some limitations. Like like if this feature is there, everyone can install in the database server and everything. They can take the whole database server snapshot even before the ransomware attack. So it will not work like that. Only 2 GB, 3 GB limitations will be there. I don't know exactly how much, but I saw more than 2 GB we can take the snapshot. How we can monitor malicious activities of each endpoint? Is there any central monitoring dashboard available for organizations worldwide? As I said earlier, the smart console will have capability of managing everything, the firewall, the endpoint, and everything. So whatever activities, the malicious activities happen, it will be the logs will be forwarded to the central console. You will see all the attack details and everything. Smart event is in cloud or on-prem. Smart event, it is in on-prem only. It is part of cloud console. So you will the smart console has the smart event component also. So you can get all the details there. Sure, Praveen, we will share you the videos. It will be recorded and published in the YouTube, so we can share the videos to you. And is there any other questions?
Thank you, Shavit. Now we can run the quiz session now. Okay, I will share my screen. See my screen, right? Shavit, you can see, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, please go all of you to polleverywhere.com. Log in as a participant and use the username here, moneyplan085. So when everyone is ready, please go to Q&A button and say yes to begin. If there's any issue, please go to Q&A and thank you, Shabit. Thank you everyone for your time. We hope we delivered everything that you are looking for and answered all your questions. We will also be sending the recording session to your email along with the contact details, so you can write back to us if you have any more questions. Also, we have numerous webinar sessions lined up throughout the month, so kindly look forward to the invite from us, and you can register to any session that you want to attend. Thank you again, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining the session.